Okay. How we doing, guys? Good to see everybody. I'm hyped for this first ever stream on PSF. I thank you, PSF, for the opportunity for this because, man, it's exciting. This is my first ever live video on OKnowsSports, and, man, I'm excited about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL Combine. Obviously, we got a ton to break down. We got 10 guys in here right now. Thanks for being here. You know I love the support. I want you guys active in the chat because I want to know who you guys want to talk about. But we got tons to discuss with the NFL Combine. I mean, we got Xavier Worthy breaking the all-time record, running a 4.21. The Texas boys in general kind of just showed out. I was shocked by that because obviously they didn't do as well as they hoped in the playoff, but it was a pretty awesome combine overall. What do you guys think, chat? What do you guys think about all of the top players sitting out? I've read a bunch of articles about it, and I kind of am just like interested of what you guys think because Marvin Harrison sat out, Jaden Daniels sat out, obviously Caleb sat out, JJ McCarthy sat out. Like, is this a new thing that's just going to be like everyone's going to sit out now if you're a top prospect? I don't really love that personally. So what do you guys think about it? George Clenn says we got to talk about JJ McCarthy. Love that. I mean, I couldn't agree more because we need to talk about him. I mean, he's a little overrated. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out this whole stream out. At the bottom line is he's a little overrated in my opinion. And George Clenn, what do you think about him? I think Blake Corum is kind of walked him through the path to the national championship. That whole scheme did, and I think he's going to get a GM fired. I think he's another Mac Jones type, where he's got first round picks, second round picks surrounding him in a great scheme, and that's the bottom line. JJ McCarthy's a running AJ McCarron. I love that. Justin Mullins, JJ is going to be nothing special. I don't disagree with that. I think JJ is literally AJ McCarron, just a better athlete. I know. Oh, we got somebody waiting to join here. George Clenn waiting to join. We're going to bring him on as a co-host, talk about JJ.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Owen. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so I think JJ McCarthy, like you said, somebody will get fired because of him taking him. You know, and I was kind of watching him for the past 3 years. Is he a winner? Maybe. Well, obviously he is because he won a national championship. But the only thing I can think of is AJ McCarron. I mean,
Okay.
And AJ won more. You know, he had Trent Richardson in that backfield. You know, all those good receivers he had. But seriously, like, I just think that, like you said, I think Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, they kind of did the work for him. You know, he doesn't really need to throw the ball in that offense.
Yep.
And do you expect him to do that in the NFL? Probably not. So I just I don't think he's going to be good at all.
Yeah, I don't think he can be on cruise control in the NFL. Quick, while we have you on, Georgia flag behind you. How do you feel about the Georgia men? How do you think they did in the combine?
I was loving my dogs in the combine. I think Amarius Mims really certified himself as a top 20 pick. His measurables, his wingspan was, I think, like top 10 in the past 4 years of linemen. And his 40 time was a 5.04 at 6'8", 360. That's good, you know? They teach speed over there in Athens. Another name that, you know, he always played well in college was Ladd McConkey. I'm curious to see where he goes. I saw a mock draft from CBS that he goes 32 to the Chiefs. Not like they need a receiver, you know, with Rashid Rice and all those guys. Probably could replace Kadarius Toney. That guy's awful. But yeah, I was loving what I was seeing. Our two running backs, Kendall Milton and Donovan Edwards. No huge names, but you know, in this running back class in general, there's not a lot of like high talent guys.
Couldn't agree more. I think Ladd is so. I got Justin Malt asking about Xavier Worthy. Is he a round one talent after a 4.21? I think he was predicted second round all throughout the whole college football season. I like him, even though you're a Dogs fan, George. I like him over Ladd now, just simply because of that. track speed, and he's also a good route runner as well. But this wide
Yep.
receiver class is stacked. Last thing I'll say before we try and get somebody else on, if anyone else wants to get on, you can request through. Last thing I'll say is in this running backs class, where do you think your Georgia boys fit in?
I would say definitely day two guys.
Okay.
I would think that Kendall Milton, just based on his size, would be a round 3, round 4 prospect. Um, Hopefully I don't know if Dejon Edwards will get drafted. He is very hard to tackle, especially in open space.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, if anything, he's a late shot, kind of like Zamir White was last year. Oh wait, no, 2 years ago to the Raiders. But
Yep. I like
that's
that.
where I'm thinking.
Okay.
So,
I like that. That's a good player comp. All right. Hey, appreciate you coming out, Georgie.
hey, appreciate it. Go Dogs.
Yes, sir. All right. Hey, so we got other stuff going on in the chat. We got who are the Cowboys drafting this year? That's it. And we got Eagles fans. Oh, that's a big rivalry right there. We got M. Zaboski, who's the second best QB in this draft. So, okay, let's jump into a little bit of who each team's kind of drafting. Obviously, we're talking to George a little bit. He's a huge UGA fan. They got like 10 Philly guys. I mean, UGA has like 10 guys over in Philly right now, which is just nuts. Like, I felt like their entire draft last year was all Georgia dogs, and that's not a bad play considering their recent success with Nolan Smith and all those guys coming from that defense, and DeAndre Swift obviously in free agency. Jay with the Panthers year, man. I don't know about all that. M. Zaboski, who is the second best QB in the draft, Jaden Daniels or Drake May? I think it's definitely one of those two. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of JJ McCarthy. And I think Caleb's the sure shot one. If you don't think that, I'd be curious as to why. But I don't know. Jaden Daniels not weighing in and not being willing to put his height and weight down there at the combine was very suspect. I didn't like that out of him. Um, I didn't like that him or out of him at all, actually, because I think that's like almost like he's hiding something. Drake May is a pro style QB, but it almost feels like I don't even want to say the name as a Bears fan, but like Mitch Trubisky-esque, we're like, what did he do really in college? He played in a weak ACC, didn't win a ton of games, wasn't even really close to a playoff contender. I'm a little nervous about Drake May, but I do think he could develop. So that's my answer to you, M. Zaboski. We got Jay saying Panthers year. We got Joey D saying, should JJ go round 1? I think he's weirdly going to be a lock in the league. Kid knows how to win. He's a winner. There's no doubt about that. As George said, too, JJ is a winner. He was a winner at Nazareth Academy back in Chicago, went down to IMG, won there as well. Obviously, national champion at Michigan. I just think he was a scheme guy, and that's not really a thing in the NFL because, unfortunately, the best players in college football get a slight chance at playing in the NFL. So those defenses that you're kind of breaking down by running, as JJ McCarthy did multiple times in the playoff, I don't know if he's able to do that. I don't know if he's that athletic to do that in the NFL at the next level. So I think he is a first rounder, just simply because this QB draft class is great, and a lot of teams need QBs. It's not just like the Saints and the Falcons. There's Broncos. There's a lot of teams that need quarterback. Raiders. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks right now. So I do think JJ will go first round. Plug Sav saying needs all the media attention. I mean, hey, Heisman winner and quote had a bad year this year, but had 40 combined touchdowns. I don't know. I would call him a sure shot number 1 pick. But hey, I respect your opinion, Plug Sav. Josh, what's good? How we doing? Jaden did that. Yeah, I agree with that, George. And also, chat, if you guys want to hop on like George did, request to hop on the stream with me and I can accept you in and we can be co-hosts together. So request to be a co-host and you can get on if you'd like to talk a little shop, ask you a few questions. But yeah, George, I think Jaden did that. I agree. Similar metrics to Bryce Young. And another thing that's similar to Bryce Young, this is a little bit of a scary comp, but he has 2 first-round wide receivers, just like Bryce Young did, and in Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. And Brian Thomas had an unreal combine. So I'd be a little worried about Jaden Daniels, simply because of that, because of the talent that's coming out of LSU with him. Best corner in the draft, Joey D. I was going to talk about that a little later. So I was going to talk about some of the winners and some of the losers. Oh, big message from Mikey Z. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Some of the winners and losers from the draft. I was going to actually say Kool-Aid. I think he was one of the biggest losers in the draft. At the combine. That will drop his draft stock a little bit just simply because he didn't play. Not his fault, but he is injured. And I think if he went to the combine, he would have shot up the ranks a little bit. But instead, he's now dropping down a little bit. Kamari Lassiter, yeah, I love that. I've been seeing mocks of him going to the Bears. I would love to see him in a Bears uni. I like that. I love that take, Harry. Most underrated corner in the draft. Here's what I'll say though. One of the biggest guys that I loved at the combine. I watched a lot of the drills, not just the highlights. I was watching live as well. I loved Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. He said he's the greatest MAC player to ever get drafted or to go into a draft. I don't know about all that. We got Big Ben. We got a lot of other guys that could be in that conversation. But I like Quinyon Mitchell as the cornerback one, or Terrion Arnold, just simply because Bama target coming out of a tough SEC, obviously. But I like Quinyon because he ran. Everyone was questioning a little bit. Is he as fast as he looks on tape? And he obviously ran in the 4.3s. And he was a combine warrior. And his 3-cone drill and all of his cornerback drills were pretty special to watch. So I like Quinyon as a cornerback one, with Terrion as a close second. And then Kool-Aid, I think whoever gets him is getting a steal if he's healthy. Keyword if. And then I'm going back to that big message. Something to bring up about the comparisons between May and Trubisky is that May played 2 full seasons while also playing a little bit of his rookie year. Trubisky only played 1. I like that take. I completely agree. And I'm not sitting here saying that May is Trubisky because, I mean, Drake May is a pro-style QB. He's like 6'5", 230. So I do think Drake May's got a much brighter future than Mitch. And I don't think it's going to be another Bears situation where somebody drafts Drake May and they're like, wow, that just set our franchise back 5 years. We are screwed. I don't think that's going to be that at all. And I like that take, M. Zaboski. Mitch is going to be a beast. Agreed. May, Herbert, I like that. I've seen that. They both have pretty lively arms, which I like that comparison because they're similar in stature. Herbert, though, is like, I feel like he's got a little moxie to him that Drake may not have. But I like that comparison because they're both sneaky athletes at their size. George Clent, if you want to clock in, no one else is clocking in. So, yeah, you can clock back in. I got you, brother. Except, how we doing?
All right, Chef, we're back. So I wanted to ask you a question, actually, because I was kind of thinking about the receivers in this class.
Yep.
You got maybe 5, 6 guys going in the first round.
Agreed.
It's deep. It's deep, right? How do you think about this take I have? I think Keon Coleman will be the second best receiver to come out of this class.
Okay, and that's okay. This is crazy you asked that. It's almost like you knew my sheet, but you don't, obviously. But I did my little research beforehand. I actually have Keon Coleman as one of the biggest losers from the combine because he ran a 4.68. That was slower than expected.
Yep.
I like that take, M. Zaboski. So, okay, I don't think he's going to be a bust like N'Keal Harry, as like what M. Zaboski said in the chat. But I do think that the receiver class is so deep. So my take, I gave this take a long time ago on OKnowsSports. It was like for the loyal guys. You were probably there, Georgie. Week 4, I think, of OKnowsSports. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be better than Marvin Harrison. And I think Malik Neighbors is exactly what a pro wide receiver needs to be coming out of college. I also think Brian Thomas impressed me. And then I think your guy, A.D. Mitchell, is a absolute sleeper coming out in the late first round. I'm literally praying that the Chiefs don't get him. So I think Keon Coleman's going to be good, and he's huge, and he's a heck of an athlete. Yep. But I don't know if he's going to be in the top 3 or even the top 4 in this receiver class because I think this might be, I mean, as long as I've been watching football, this is the deepest receiver class I've ever seen.
It's very deep. The thing I would say about Keon is that yes, he ran the 4.6, whatever it was. But in the line passing drill, I don't know the exact name, but he hit 20 miles per hour. It was the fastest of any receiver. And just based on the sheer like catching ability, that one hander he had against Syracuse, and the amount of touchdowns he had last year, like kid just knows ball. He knows how to
Yep.
find the end zone. So it could be a shot in the dark, but I'm taking it. And any over yards, maybe over touchdowns, book
Okay.
it. It's in.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I love that take. Appreciate you coming back on. Any
All
of
right.
you that are looking to come back on, hop in. George, appreciate you,
Please
brother.
do. Join them.
Um, can we just take away the Chiefs? Seriously, like they don't need a first round pick. They just won the Super Bowl with MVS, who they cut a week after the season. Like they don't need any more picks. Like their receiving core was literally McCole Hardman, MVS, and Rashee Rice. Like, can we just like say, hey guys, no receivers for you. Mahomes is too good. You actually don't get any receivers. Sorry about that. Like league rules. You're not like if they get a guy like AD Mitchell or they get a guy like Keon Coleman, even like what are we doing as NFL fans? Like what are we doing if you're not a Chiefs fan? Um, we got can JJ McCarthy succeed on any team? I don't know. I think he needs to get into a good structure, and I think Ethan Purdue. I love that. I think he needs to get in a good like a great setting for him where he can sit for a year or two because there's no doubt that he's a student of the game, but I just don't think he's a year one starter. I mean, you got to be special. As we saw with Bryce Young, he was a special Heisman winner. He wasn't even ready, not even close to start in the NFL. I don't think JJ is going to be either. We got, what are your thoughts on Jalen Johnson? So I was just typing in the chat, Gaff12. I was just typing in the chat before, right before the stream started. I love the signing on Jalen Johnson. Yes, big boy money. I think they signed him for 4 for 76. I don't know the exact numbers. I think that's what it is. So roughly 20. I think yeah, that's 19 a year. I like that. I really do. Just simply because I actually had him on my All Pro team when I made the All Pro before the All Pro came out. Um, I put him on my All Pro because his coverage stats, he let up like an 18% completion rate when he was thrown to, and he was PFF graded the second best corner in the NFL. Obviously, he's not a big name, so he's probably not going to get it. He's only a second or third year guy out of Utah, but I love that signing. And then L'Jarius Sneed leaving the Chiefs is a big deal. I would hate it if he went to the Packers as a Bears fan, but I think as the Packers, that would be a great move to put him next to Jair. In that young secondary. They also got Darnell Savage back there too. Justin Maltz. How do we feel about Caleb coming off his cocky? So I saw that and I was interested in that as well because I think like there's a line between like athletic arrogance because at the same time he's deserved it a little bit. He's earned that right to be cocky. He was a runaway Heisman winner, and this year his team wasn't great, but he still had 40 touchdowns. Um, and I think he is cocky, which I trust me on this. He'll get a slice of humble pie when he sees Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald, Max Crosby lining up against him next year. I don't whether he's on the Bears or whatever team he's on, he'll have a huge slice of humble pie coming his way. But I do think he's a little cocky and he needs to be humbled a little bit. I know a lot of guys, traditional guys, hate the nails painting and the crying after losses. I think he's passionate, but he needs to be humbled a good bit. There's no doubt he's him. I mean, he's pretty insane. Like his highlights are some of the best highlights I've ever seen out of any quarterback in college. Like he's weirdly athletic. It's kind of like reminding me of Mahomes, where he just like is quietly rushing for 70 yards and 2 TDs. Whereas it's not like a Jaden Daniels or a Lamar Jackson, where he's running like 22 miles an hour, running a 4.340. But I do think that he is pretty special, Caleb. And I don't want the Bears to draft him just simply because of the value they could get for him. But I do think he's pretty special. We got Jalen Wright. RB1. George Clinton, man, you're reading my mind. We're on the same wavelength today. I got him as one of the biggest winners in this draft class for the combine after the combine. So he had a 13.2 broad jump, which is like almost Olympic caliber, and ran a 4.38. He is like ridiculous. Like I can't believe his splits at the combine, and he shot himself at least in the conversation of the RB1 in this draft class. And then we got Penix. Feel like he could be on the right team if he could be a great QB. Harry, man, love that take. I got to give that one a little love. So yeah, I think he is definitely it's pretty special. Penix. He has a lively arm. I don't know if any of you got the chance to watch the combine drills, but I was locked in on him. As I told you, I'm obsessed with the game. So I was watching the combine drills for Penix. He did not miss a single mid-tier throw. Not surprised by that. We kind of saw that at Washington all year. But I think I was talking to Alex Fayas, who's one of my good buddies, who's a Giants fan. Harry, if he could get drafted into a system like the Giants and sit behind Daniel Jones, kind of watch him fail a little bit, but sit behind Daniel Jones and start without getting no reps, like no reps, just sit behind him, be a practice guy and watch him be a student of the game. I seriously see him as being a steal in the second round. Obviously, one of the biggest worries on him is the knees, because I think he's blown out both knees once and one of them twice, which is just ridiculous that he's still balling. But I like him, and I could see him as being at least a top 3 QB in this class, if not in the conversation of 1 or 2. Braylon Allen to the Packers. What are your thoughts on if we don't re-sign Dylan? Joey D, assuming you're a Packers fan, I like that. He's kind of a similar player comp to Dylan. I think he came out a little early out of college. He's only 19 or 20 years old. But I agree. He's kind of similar to A.J. Dillon. I think this running backs class is underrated. It's getting talked about as a low-level class because there's a lot of second and third day guys, even fourth day guys. But the reality is the running backs position is just not really valued. Ethan Purdue, he's got to learn French. Yeah, A.J. Dillon's, he's not staying for the long haul. Aaron Jones is taking over that spot, and that's pretty confirmed. But I do like the Packers choosing a running back like a Braylon Allen or a late round filler guy in the 3rd or 4th round. Even going with like a Jalen Wright with more of a speed back coming in the 3rd or 4th round. I think that would be a great addition for the Pack. They need a little help on offense with that special Jordan Love, unfortunately. M. Zaboski, Penix too old, had too many injuries, would be a top pick. Definitely, yeah. I think he's a pro-ready QB. I agree with you, Mike. He can sling the rock, and he's got a quick release, which I love. He's also pretty good size, underrated size. Justin Maltz, where's Saquon going to end up? That was a crazy thing that I was looking at today. I saw a thing that he was talking to the Cowboys, which would be absolutely nuts to sign him. I don't want the Bears to sign him, Ethan, just simply because I don't know his injuries, man. Like he played like 6 or 7 games last year, and you're paying him $20 million for what? I'm not a fan that the running backs position has been disvalued this much, but at the same time, like it's unfortunately a reality. Like look at the Chiefs, 6th round pick Isaiah Pacheco, the Bills, James Cook, 4th rounder. They got literally nobody coming out of their running back room, and they're the best teams in the league. So I don't know if the Bears need a guy like him, but I would love the Bears to go after another running back in the draft because Khalil Herbert's a little banged up. Roshan's decent. I would love for them to get a 3rd or 4th round guy. Bears super team incoming, Justin Maltz. Love that. I'm hoping they give away the 1 pick. Keep Fields, ride with him, rock with him for a few more years, and get an absolute haul, like 2 or 3 first rounders for the 1st pick. I would love that. Packers draft by athletic quorum. Allen, love that take. Love that take, Gaff 12. Love that take. I like Blake Corum. Did you guys happen to see George? Dude, George is reading my mind. Corum hit the same amount of bench reps as Joe Alt in the combine. Joe Alt, if you don't know who that is, he's a top 10 projection pick. He's a guard out of Notre Dame. He's unreal. He's like a bookend. Like he's going 1st round. He's going top 10. He's a great prospect. But Blake Corum, I know he's 5'8", but he hit the same amount of reps as Joe Alt did. Crazy. Derrick Henry bought a house in Dallas. I love all like the speculation on Twitter. I could sit on Twitter all day and read that stuff. I didn't see that Ethan Purdue, but I don't mind him going to Dallas. That would be crazy. And Tennessee would be another team that would definitely look for a Jalen Wright type guy, an early rounder running back, and definitely try and fill that void if Derrick Henry leaves. Dallas doesn't have a ton of cap room, but they could go after a guy like Saquon or Derrick for sure. Just wait until we see Amarius Mims bench on pro day. He might go for 100, dude. I mean, that guy is nuts. Amarius Mims is a freak of nature. Who is my steal of the draft? That's a good question, Joey D. I got a bunch of guys written down. So, to be honest, I've always been a Rattler guy. I've always been a Spencer Rattler guy. I think if he gets into the right place and right coaching, because talk about diva, he is a diva. He could really succeed because he literally has Mahomes level arm talent. Like, there's no denying that. But I'd say my main steal of the draft, besides Rattler, I got to go with A.D. Mitchell because it's just the bottom line. He shows up when it matters. And I remember one place coming straight to mind for Texas this year. There was I think 35 seconds left in the game. And I think it was in the Big 12 championship. And he was pissed he wasn't getting the ball the entire game. And he literally was like this, waving give me the ball, give me the rock. They tossed up a fade to him. It was his third target of the entire game. And he absolutely mossed the guy at the pylon. That's the kind of guy that you want. And also, yeah, college football semifinal. Thanks, Georgie. And also, he's a guy, he had to battle through a lot in college. If you didn't know, he transferred from being a beast at Georgia to Texas after his mother, unfortunately, had cancer. He's a guy that's been battling his whole life, and especially the last few years, he's a guy that's going to be special no matter where he goes. I'm kind of a Ravens guy because I love Lamar. Would not mind seeing him in the Ravens purple this year, no doubt. Burrow is winning MVP this year. Chase will be wide receiver 1. Okay, Gaff 12. I like that. I think they got a bad rep, but what people didn't really understand is that they were literally battling injuries the entire season. Whether it was Jamar, whether it was Burrow, whether it was T. Higgins, their entire core. By the way, T. Higgins maybe to the Bears, wouldn't mind that. But I like that take. Burrow MVP. Unfortunately, Mahomes is just man, he's just ridiculous. Hoping he doesn't come back and win another. I would not mind seeing Joe Too Cool, Joe Shiesty winning the MVP. And I see Jamar, yeah. Jamar reminds me a weird amount of Malik Neighbors. Just he plays like he's 6'5", but really he's 6'1". And yeah, Tiggins got tagged. That was a good one. Higgins got tagged. But I could see him doing a tag and trade, maybe to the Patriots. I'm not sure where he's going. I could see him going to the Bears, maybe to the Patriots. A lot of teams need receivers, and that's an underrated thing, especially with this draft class. I think we're going to see 6. I think we're going to see at least 6 receivers off the board in the first round, and still some steals, a lot of steals left in the second. Drake May opinion. I gave a big shout earlier, Ethan Purdue, about Drake May, Josh Allen vibes. I don't know about that high, but I know, I think it was Mitch talking about it earlier. Scrolling up. No, it was Justin Maltz talking about it earlier. Herbert is just like Drake May, and I don't mind that because I don't think Drake May is as athletic as Josh Allen is, but I see him kind of like Herbert. Drake May, Mitch Trubisky, love that. Kalen DeLocke out of FSU. Yeah, I saw that, Harry. The FSU boys kind of balled out at the combine. I was not shocked by that, but I like him a lot. And he's one of those guys. Kalen DeLotte is one of those guys where I think he led the team in tackles by a good margin. And I don't understand why guys like Zaven Collins and guys like Shaq Leonard from a few years back, they led the team in tackles. The goal of being a linebacker is to lead the team in tackles. I don't understand why those guys drop. So I think he's a steal in the draft. There's no doubt, especially for a team that's lacking in the linebacking core, maybe like the Jaguars, maybe the Broncos, that kind of needs a guy that can be that guy. Drake May, Mitch Trubisky. I don't know about all that, Joey D, but I don't mind that. Another guy out of FSU, Harry, was Braden Fisk. Not sure if you guys saw him. He's 6'4", 300. He ran a 4.78 40. Like, that is 0.1 slower than his teammate Keon Coleman, who is a wide receiver. 4.78 40 was the fastest by all D tackles by a good margin. He's literally 300 pounds. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out because it is ridiculous watching him run. Devondre Sweat, Jordan Davis, completely agree. I think he has a little bit of a higher ceiling, though, because he was unreal in college. I think, though, the guy to really watch out for, and this is another sleeper. George upset with that one. This is another sleeper. Joey D, you asked me who my favorite guy out of this draft is. Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy is a guy to watch out for. He's going to go late first round. He's a D tackle out of Texas. He was unreal this year. Unbelievable. Reminds me a lot of Brian Brzee out of Clemson last year or 2 years ago, maybe that is. He was unreal, and I really like him a lot coming out in the late first, early second, praying, again, he doesn't go to the Chiefs. Like, for real, please don't draft him, Kansas City, please. And then if anyone else wants to jump on, guys, we're more than happy to do a co-host. Always love having you guys. As you guys know, I love the engagement. And then another guy out of FSU was Trey Benson. He ran a 4.39. He could potentially jolt himself up to the 1 or 2 spot for running backs in the draft class. Because obviously it's not the strongest running back draft class we've ever seen, but it is a good one. And I could see him getting in the 1 or 2, maybe even 3 spot because of his 4.39 40 with his current stature. And then I thought one of the most outstanding performers from the entire combine was Theo Johnson, Penn State tight end. I think he kind of solidified himself ahead of Sanders out of Texas as tight end 2 in the draft. Chat, what do you guys think about that? Theo Johnson, 6'6", 260, just dominating the combine in literally every single way. Obviously, he's no Brock Bowers. Not sitting here saying he is, but he's one of those guys, maybe he's like Sam Laporte, that steps in and he's like, wow, this guy is way better than I thought. Because I'll tell you splits right now, 6'6", 260, 4.57 with a 40-inch vertical and a 10.5 broad jump. Like 40-inch vertical, he's 6'6". He doesn't need a 40-inch vertical, but he has it. And Johnny Davis, yeah. Yeah, I think Johnny Davis is a little bit underrated, and he doesn't really get talked about very much just simply because this wide receiver class is so elite. I mean, there's 6 or 7, 8, even 8 guys that are rated higher than him on most mock drafts. And I know that, like, A.D. Mitchell is one of those guys that's like, in a normal draft, he'd be 1 or 2 on the board, off the board as a wide receiver. He's like 5 or 6. So Johnny Davis is down there with the 8, 9, and 10 range, which is definitely crazy. I know that I'm a Bears fan, and I know we got Philly fans, Cowboys fans in here. We got Georgia Dog fans. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about who each team's going to draft in the top end of the draft. Are we thinking that Caleb's going to go 1 and Jaden's 2 and Drake May's 3 and it's going to go 1, 2, 3 QBs? Because I've definitely been looking a lot at that. Is Marvin Harrison going to sneak his way in there? Personally, as a Bears fan, I would love to see Florida's a Florida player get drafted. That's hate from a Georgia fan. There's no doubt about that. Personally, I would love to see the Bears trade back and draft Malik Neighbors. As I said, I think he's going to be the best receiver in this entire class. I would love to see that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would love to see it. And then I think the Commanders kind of have no choice here. They need a QB. I think they got to draft Caleb. I think the drop from Caleb to the rest is like pretty big margin. I don't think it's that close, to be honest. So I will say that I think how far does Latu drop? Far, deep. He struggled in the college football playoff. He was no good. I was expecting him to be like one of their main targets, and he was no good. I'm glad you brought that up because I think early on he was predicted like a top 5 tight end off the board. I don't know if he's even going to be like a second day guy anymore. So he dropped a good bit. And there's no doubt about that. He dropped a lot. And I find so I talked about this a little bit earlier. I want to hear what you guys say. If one of you guys has a staunch opinion on this, join as a co-host because I'm curious. Why in the heck is it a new thing that, like, if I'm a projected top 5 pick, I don't need to do a single workout until my pro day? Caleb sits out. Marvin Harrison sits out. Jaden sits out. Drake May sits out. All these guys, what are they, too good for the combine? Like, I get it. Like, your draft stock can't go a ton higher. But, like, come on here, guys. Like, we're trying to see what you run. We're trying to see even just like a few throws from the quarterbacks. I would have loved to see that. Would have loved to see Caleb show off his arm talent as if we haven't seen it. Yeah, they get too comfortable. It's soft. I agree. And Marvin Harrison, dude, what are you doing not speaking to the media? Like, you're just sussing me out. Like, you're sussing me out. You're sussing the Bears out. You're sussing all the teams that want to draft you out. What, you're too good to speak to the media because your pops is Marvin Harrison Sr.? Like, I get it, man. You're unreal. But, I mean, come on now. Marvin could be a bust. Now, that's a hot take from Evan W. That is a hot take, Marvin Harrison being a bust. I don't know if I've heard anyone say that. All I hear is love from Marvin Harrison. But, hey, I don't mind that. What I will say is it's proven that SEC guy is the not. It's proven that SEC guys succeed in the NFL as receivers, as proven in the last few years. There is a lot of SEC guys dominating the league right now. We look at Jamar, we look at Justin Jefferson, Devonta Smith, and I love Brian Thomas out of LSU. I love Lad McConkey. Give me that, Harry. Give me that, Georgia dog. And we're looking at guys like Brian Thomas, who's just a big, legit threat coming out of LSU. And I think Marvin Harrison, dude, like, I hate to admit it as a Midwest guy myself from Chicago, the Big Ten is just not what it used to be. There's Michigan, there's Ohio State, and there is a pretty big drop-off. As we saw with Iowa getting absolutely embarrassed, easiest bet of my life, by the way, when I took Tennessee -6 against them in the bowl. But there was a big drop-off, and the level of play in the Big Ten is just not what it used to be. So I will say, I don't know about Marvin Harrison being a bust, but man, oh man, is that like a hot take from Evan W. Could be a difference with, 100% agree. Washington's going to fall off a lot this year, losing their coach, losing O'Dunes, obviously. Odunze and Penix. I mean, basically their whole team. They lost 2 of their old linemen. But Oregon coming in and USC coming in. USC has got, I forget his name. Forgetting his name right now. The white kid, the QB, I forget his name. He's like 5'11". He's a gunslinger. He can throw the rock. He's going to be at QB now. He would have started on any other team probably if Caleb Williams wasn't there. Obviously, that's how it goes when you go to a Power 5, top 5 school. But yeah, I agree. And I think college football is going to look interesting. And it's going to be interesting what it looks like with the playoff, just simply because USC went on in West Lafayette. Yeah, hey, I like that shout, Ethan Purdue. Are the Boilermakers making a comeback a little bit? Purdue so chips. Are they making a comeback a little bit? I mean, hey, I'm not going to – hey, George Karlaftis, though. George Karlaftis, I didn't mind a Super Bowl MVP bet on him in case he came out of the gates with 5 sacks. But yeah, conferences are going to look weird in the college football because the SEC is stacked, obviously. Big Ten stacked, obviously. Like, it's weird. It's new, and I'm getting used to it for sure, and I think we all are. But back to the combine a little bit. One guy that I will say that I knew was going to be great going into the combine and just proved everybody right was Dallas Turner. He's a guy that I would love to see the Bears draft at 9. If you don't know who he is, he's a DN coming out of Alabama. DN at Alabama. That's normally a good mixture. He ran a 4.46 combine, which was honestly faster than expected. He's like 250. And I think whatever team gets him is going to be like, wow, this guy is unreal. Not saying Micah Parsons, but I am saying like a Zadarius Smith type player build where he's got a high motor and he's unreal. Not Will Anderson, but he's close to it. And I think that's one of the guys that I was like, man, I knew he was going to be good. I didn't know he was going to be that good. And I would love to see the Bears draft him at the 9 spot. Looking at other guys. Oh, here's a cool story from the combine that you probably haven't heard yet. And I love doing stats and stories on OKnowsSports that I kind of like that maybe you haven't heard, maybe you have. Either way, it's great to hear. Ray Davis, the running back out of Kentucky. The Georgia guys may know who this is. He probably ran for 100 on Georgia this season. He ran for 1,000 yards at Vandy, then 1,000 at Kentucky. But what you probably didn't know is that he was in foster care and homeless for the majority of his life with his brother and sister. And he went to Vandy on a full scholarship and transferred to Kentucky, now getting NIL money, and is able to pay back some of the stuff that they've went through, get food on the table for his mother and his siblings as well. So that's a guy that is one of those guys, like I said earlier, about A.D. Mitchell, where if you draft him in the 4th, 5th, maybe 6th round even, he is going to fight. He knows how to fight. He's been fighting his entire life. And I love that take. I forget where I saw it on, maybe CBS Sports. I love that take that I heard because he's one of those guys that he knows how to grind. He'll be on your practice squad and he'll show up early, he'll leave late. And I don't know if divas like Caleb Williams, divas like Marvin Harrison are going to be those guys. Yeah, are they God-given talent? There's no doubt, but they may not have the motor that a guy like Ray Davis has. So that's for sure. And then I talked about this a hair earlier. Jaden Daniels, man. I was seeing Lamar Jackson signs of him coming out of LSU. But the thing I'm worried about is Lamar had nobody at Louisville to throw to. Literally nobody. Jaden Daniels has 2 top 20 receivers. Like, there's no denying that. Like, he just does. He has 2 top 20 receivers. Malik Neighbors, arguably the best receiver in the country, caught 1,600 yards this season. Is it because of Jaden? I don't know. But either way, I think it's important to note that as a scout, and I think all scouts are, that leaves me a little hesitant on Jaden. Obviously, it's a little worrisome. We're going to do about 5 more minutes here at OKnowsSports. We'll wrap up on a few things. If you got something to say, the 10 that are still here, appreciate you guys. Love all the support. This has been awesome. I want to hear what you guys have to say the last few minutes. And if you want to come on and hop on, jump in as a co-host. George did it twice. I want to have one more guy before we leave. If you want to hop on, for sure, do it. If not, no pressure. I know it's a little nerve-wracking jumping on in a live stream, but hop on if you want to. We're talking about. Oh, we're talking a little bit about receivers because we've talked about that all day. Xavier Leggett is a guy. Put him on your radar, please, if you haven't already. He's 6'3", 230, coming out of South Carolina. I literally see Deebo Samuel again. But the thing about Xavier is he ran a sub 4.40. Deebo ran like a 4.46. This guy, I mean, he's ridiculous. Like, you watch his highlights, he can catch any jump ball. And I think he's like the 9th receiver projected off the board. Man, oh man. I mean, the Bears need a receiver more than anything. If they could snag him in like late 2nd round, if they end up trading away the 1st pick and get another 2nd rounder, that would be awesome because I think whatever team gets this Xavier Leggett guy is going to be exactly like Deebo, where it's like, is just good. Like, he's a football player. He can run the ball out of the backfield. He's big enough. He's strong enough. He can catch a jump ball. He can kind of do whatever you need him to do as a receiver. And I love him coming out of South Carolina for sure. It's tough to rank the receivers in this draft just because this is one of the most stacked receiver classes ever. But man, oh man, is he one of those guys that's just a sneaky pick for sure. So we're going to wrap up if no one else has anything. Appreciate all you guys being here. This was an absolute blast. I'm going to try and start doing maybe one content stream a week, talking about the NFL, talking about NBA, whatever we're talking about each week. As you know, we kind of cover it all here at OKnowsSports. And then one betting stream where we just talk picks. We talk about betting picks on the week. We talk about our favorite play of the day. I'll finish up this NFL Combine stream. Obviously, this is about the NFL, but with March Madness around the corner, I love the Redbirds, ISU, -3 tonight. That's my whale play of the day. I'm putting 2 units on it. So in case you love sports betting and You love that side of Oh No Sports. I'm giving you a tiny little hint of it. That's our whale play of the day. Appreciate you all you guys listening. Love all the content that you guys put out, all the messages in the chat. It means the world to me. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, PSF. Peace.